That was a lot of fun, Rue. We got to watch the first of two joint practices with the New England Patriots today.
Yeah, it really was a high level, I thought, of football being played by both teams, by both sides of the football. Um, I was pleasantly surprised at the just how clean everything was. It was just good work. I mean, I thought there were plays made on both sides. It was a tremendous amount of energy. It got a little chippy. There were no fights, but it was um, there was a lot of vocalizing back and forth. Rodney McLeod and Jalen Mills didn't shut up yelling at each other. Rodney obviously isn't practicing, but he was as involved as anybody. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was a good 2 hours. It was a cooler day. It was a nice breeze, and I thought everybody had a ton of energy.
Yeah, this is the Eagle Eye Podcast with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We're going to go through some of what we saw at that practice. We'll kind of break it down into the details of offense and defense. We will look at the wide receiver position, DeVonta Smith getting closer to a return, so we'll try to figure out what it's going to look like when he does come back. We'll go through, I listed 7 players who I think have a better shot to make the team than most fans would probably think. So I want to go through those names and kind of get your feedback on whether or not you think I'm crazy or if you think I'm right about some of those. You can think I'm crazy, but maybe not about those in particular.
I think you're crazy. You still agree with the 7 names.
Yeah,
All I
exactly.
know, and I haven't seen the list yet. All I know is number one is going to be Elijah Riley.
He is on the list. We'll get to that in a little bit. And also, we want to go through the rookies to kind of do a rookie report and kind of say what we've seen out of each of the draft picks. But let's start with observations from today's practice. I thought overall, I'd give, if Sirianni's judging all these practices, I think it was a pretty clear W to the Eagles today. That wasn't to say they were perfect, but I thought they had a better day on both sides of the football.
I would agree with that. I thought both sides. I thought the defense really dominated. I thought the defense did a lot of good things, and the offense had a good day as well. It was definitely a W for the home team, and
Yeah.
and I think it was kind of you saw a higher level of practice. I mean, the Eagles practices are they're pretty crisp and energized and everything. But I thought you saw it. Really, both teams kind of raised their level. It was energy wise, intensity wise, it was somewhere between a practice and a game. It was more than a normal practice, less than a game, but because obviously they're not tackling to the ground. But I thought it was a really encouraging day for the Eagles, really all around.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool the way they structured practice where they used split fields in the beginning. So, one-on-ones on each side of the field. They had wide receivers and defensive backs going this way, running backs and linebackers going the other way. And so it was all Eagles receivers on one field, all their defensive backs on the other. So it was a good way to split the field. And they did that on 7-on-7s and early in 11-on-11s, but it kind of built up to the most competitive period, which came in it was 11-on-11 full team, but the other members of the teams got to watch. So that kind of ramped up to what was almost like a little scrimmage at the end. It felt scrimmage like because they're actually moving the football. You had kind of jawing back and forth. I thought it was a good, fun way to structure the practice to get a lot of work in to maximize your time, but then to have that competitive period at the end.
And it was a little longer than a normal Eagles practice. I think it was probably the longest of the summer. Well, I'm sure it was by 15 minutes or so. It was probably the Patriots' shortest practice.
Yeah, they compromised. It really
Yeah.
was. I mean, the Patriots have been going 2.5 hours. Eagles have been going anywhere from hour and 10 minutes to an hour 45. So yeah, it was a full 2 hours today, and they got a lot of work in. It was fun.
Yeah, but like you said, that last period was it's very high level, and you just saw plays being made on both sides, and when you have the sidelines full, I mean, it really kind of creates the energy of a game because the Eagles are on this side, and we were just by the way the field was set up, we were on the Eagles sideline, and I like that field. They were on the third field over on the right, which is.
I was in the end zone because I'm stubborn and I like to watch it that way.
Yeah, Dave's a big end zone guy, but I was kind of right behind Nick as much as I could and Gannon, just trying to watch how they reacted to different things. And boy, the communication, the energy, players lifting up other players, the trash talking. When Andrew Adams dropped his second interception, like three guys were just giving him so much grief. Come on, Double A, how many are you going to drop today? It was more than we've seen as far as because you don't get that with one team practicing. You don't get that edge, when you have a different team in there. And it went both ways. When the Patriots made a play, they were chirpy, and vice versa. So it was. I don't think there was any clear winner as far. I don't think any one unit really, dominated everything. I thought the Eagles, both sides did win but I mean the Patriots made some plays as well. But it was good work as far as both teams were getting better. You could just see it. They were both making plays. They were both stopping the other team, and they were both playing with a lot of confidence and a lot of energy. I'm kind of blown away that 2 weeks into a new coach's program that his offense and Gannon's defense have picked things up to the point where they can practice at such a high level. I mean, it's a good sign.
Yeah, and when I say the Eagles won the day, they didn't dominate every period, but I think overall it was pretty clear they had a better day. And a big reason, the two big reasons, and I think this is the most encouraging thing you come out of today from, if you're an Eagles fan, is that one, Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback on the field, which maybe it's a low bar, but pretty clear he was the best quarterback on the field. He was better than Cam Newton. He was better than Mac Jones. He was better than Joe Flacco. And two, the Eagles defensive line did what they're supposed to do. I mean, they were very good again today, especially inside. Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. And those are good guards over there. They had very good days. But let's start with Hurts because, like I said, I thought he was the best quarterback out there. He threw a couple interceptions in 7-on-7s, but they were balls that hit off his receivers' hands. One was a bad one from Zach Ertz, kind of bobbled it into the hands of a defender. Overall, I thought Hurts had a very good day.
I think the second one was tapped up. It was Gainwell, yeah. I thought he did too. He's just getting better and more confident each day and connecting with his receivers. He's putting the ball where he wants to. I was impressed with Hurts today. And I think I think what you saw today, it wasn't just the tight ends. I mean, he was delivering the ball to the receivers, even without DeVonta out there. They were making plays. Rager and Quez, even Fulgham's had a couple of decent days in a row now. Mm-hmm. I think he's kind of, maybe Dr. Quez got him, back playing the way he should. But I was really impressed with Jalen Hurts. I'll tell you what, he just keeps getting a little bit better. They talk about 1% better. You're allowed to get 2% better, 3%. And there's going to be days where you don't, but I just felt like he had a real command. We've always said that he's a gamer and he plays better than he practices. And I thought today kind of was a game feel. And he seemed to respond to that going up against another team. And Rager's put together a couple good days in a row, or a few in a stretch of a few days. They didn't practice yesterday, but I think over the last few days, I think he's done a nice job rebounding from a really tough start with the conditioning test and all that. And it's hard to measure it, but he does seem a little more focused. He seems a little more confident. I think he's catching the ball well. He's getting open. He looks more comfortable. He's making plays, and it's going to feed off itself. The more he makes plays, the more confident he's going to be. The more confident he is, the more plays he's going to make. And you can kind of see the start of that process. I mean, there's something there, and there's a reason he was a first-round pick. I'm still not sure how good he can be, but I've been encouraged by him the last few days.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's, the confidence is a big deal with him, I think. And having a quarterback like Hurts who understands it, I think Hurts just gets it. He gets that with a player like that. You do have to build him up at times. If he drops a ball, he's going to go back to him pretty quickly. We've seen that in the summer with not just Rager, but other players too. It's the understanding that you can build a guy's confidence. You can make it work for you. I thought Rager had a good day. He caught a deep ball in 1-on-1s. He bobbled it and caught it. And he did the same thing in 11-on-11. He caught it was a deep go route down the sideline, and he bobbled it. He caught it. You'd probably like to see him catch them cleaner. I think he's had a few bobbles throughout camp. So you'd like to see him clean it up. But you're right, encouraging day. And there was the one in the really competitive team period where Jalen Hurts, it was a really nice play. It didn't count. Well, it counted, but not for the
I'm
Eagles.
counting it.
You can count it. It didn't count. It wasn't a touchdown, but it was a great play by Jalen Hurts because they had a blitzer coming, and he recognized it. So he rolls right. He sprints right. It's a confined area of the field. They're in the red zone. I forget how many seconds were left on the clock, but the clock was running down in this
14.
situational period. Was it 14? Yeah, it was low. So he fires, and it might have been third down. He fires a pass to Rager in the near part of the end zone, and the official ruled it right away that he dropped his hat. So Rager had gone out of bounds and then came back in. And that's why they ruled it an incompletion. But it was a great play from Hurts to recognize it. And even though Rager stepped out, I thought it was a nice catch once he was back in bounds to keep his feet in.
Yeah, I didn't know it was incomplete until Jalen Hurts press conference. I mean,
Really?
he said, because I was on the other side of the field. I was on the other sideline, but yeah, sure looked good from where I was from 60 yards away or whatever. But yeah, you can just see them connecting and their confidence building. But that's a great point about Hurts. He's like an amateur psychologist and understanding what everybody needs and how to, how to bring them up. And you'll see him a lot go back to a guy that has a drop. He'll go right back to him, and it's intentional. It's all about showing him I still believe in you, and I'm going to give you another opportunity to make that play, and give you something positive to finish this series of reps on. And you see why guys love playing for him because of those type of qualities.
Yeah. And there's something there with Rager. You're right. He has talent. We've seen it. I think the best microcosm of his camp was when he made that incredible one-handed catch in one-on-ones, and then the next time he undressed Slay and got wide open and dropped the ball. It's just he needs to find the consistency. I think the flash plays are there, but he needs to consistently get better each day, and I think we're starting to see that over the last few days. It's not, I don't want to get carried away with it, but there are encouraging signs.
Yeah, there's no real way to quantify it or anything. You just kind of you watch them and watch them and watch them, and you just start to see a little bit more. So yeah. Something to build on. Certainly after a tough year last year and a tough start this summer.
Yeah, there are some other interesting things from that really intense 11-on-11. The Eagles' first team defense got a nice stop in the red zone. It was kind of a do or die. I think 7 seconds left. The Patriots were down by 4. That was a situation. And Javon Hargrave ripped through the line, forced Cam Newton into a bad throw. He throws it right to Eric Wilson for the pick. Wilson's made a few interceptions this year. He has good hands. He had 3 picks last year. That's what he's known for, is his ability in coverage. And we've seen that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. The sidelines are just screaming at him to go down, because he's trying to return it. And then one assistant coach actually ran on the field. I thought he was going to tackle him and was, just like running behind him, screaming, go down. It was pretty funny. But you mentioned Hargrave, who really made that play. He had a hell of a day. He's had a great camp. I mean, you've made the point a couple of times that because of Fletch and just how accomplished he is, and the guy's a 6-time Pro Bowler. We don't really tend to talk about Hargrave too much, but he's had a really good camp. He's going to make Fletch better. That whole D line is just loaded, and he's great. He looks like a different guy than last year. I mean, obviously he missed time last year, but he looks healthy. He looks fitter. He looks powerful.
He's in great shape. You can tell. You can
tell he's in way better shape than last year, and he's fun to watch. He just wrecks stuff. I mean, he's just so powerful and athletic and quick, and that's a formidable D line, man. When they're loaded, when they're healthy, I mean, they're going to be a lot for offenses to contend with.
Yeah, I agree. The other big play from that 11-on-11, Joe Flacco finished it off. It was a really pretty fade to Andre Patton. Yeah, Andre Patton's making some noise. I mean,
he's my sleeper. He's my guy.
Yeah, he's had some good practices since he's been here. He knows Nick Sirianni. He's played for him before, and he looks like a pro. Sometimes he's bringing an undrafted guy in, and they just don't fit. Patton, he's played in the NFL. He hasn't had a ton of success, but you can tell he's been around the league for a while because he's very workmanlike, and yeah, he's been making some plays, and that was a really nice one. He was able to get both feet in for a touchdown, and that was a nice drive from the second team offense.
Yeah, it was a great throw too from Flacco. I don't think Flacco had as good a day as he had a couple of days ago, but it was a great throw, and it was a real circus catch there. And it was a fun practice. There were a lot more big plays, I think, that you don't always see that many in a normal practice. But I think going against another team kind of brings out the best in guys. And Andre Patton, like we were doing a double take. Who is that? I thought it was Fulgham at first before I saw the number. When he was down, but I don't know. He's not going to make the team, but he can play. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's got
on merit. You could argue he deserves to make it.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly done more than like a Hightower. That's for sure. Or J-Jaw. J-Jaw did have one nice.
He had a nice day.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, I think Patton's a guy that whether he's on the practice squad or he's a call up. I mean, I could see him get on the field at some point.
Yeah, the Eagles defense dropped a few picks today though too. In 7-on-7s, it was Alex Singleton a couple times. And he talked about Andrew Adams dropped a couple. They left some plays out there. It was a good day overall for the defense, but you'd like to see them make a few of those. And then, our old friend Nelson Aguilar had a good day, but it was mostly against the Eagles second team. I was surprised about this, that we saw a lot of the Patriots first team receivers with Mac Jones. And I think that was probably purposeful. I talked to our buddy Phil Perry from NBC Sports Boston. He said they've been doing that a lot, and it makes sense. You want to see what the kid has. So and that was for the most part where Nelly really kind of had his big day was against the second teamers. Slay and Steve Nelson kind of put the clamps on.
Yeah, he made a few big catches against Zach McPherson. I think at least two of them. But it's good work for McPherson. I mean, Nelly's a pro, and you put a rookie on him, he'll get open. But yeah, I thought the defense really, and Slay got banged up a little bit late in practice. He kind of got hit in the legs and then went down and looked like he landed on his neck.
Yeah, him and Avante collided.
It was Avante, yeah, and he went over with a doctor and they checked him out, and Sirianni came over and Slay just said, I'm fine. And he didn't go back in. I don't believe it was near the end of practice.
Yeah, he didn't go back in. He stayed out there. And even after practice, he was on the field talking to guys, joking around. He said he was fine. So We'll see. Oh. Sometimes with something like that, you don't feel it right away. Maybe tomorrow he'll wake up and feel sore, but walking off the field, he looked like he was fine. But there was a scary moment of practice. Derek Barnett absolutely clobbered Patriots tight end Matt Lacoste. It was a scary moment because on the play, Barnett dropped in coverage. It might have been a zone blitz. He drops in coverage, and it's a play across the middle. And I mean, Barnett teed off on him, and he was down. It was like the trainer ran onto the field, and eventually the guy got up and he walked inside. He didn't practice again. But I had a chance to ask Jonathan Gannon about that play when the day was over. Just curious, because it was, you want to see hard hits, but you don't want anyone to get hurt. Like that's not, and especially don't want there to be any retaliation. And he said he thought it was just kind of a bang bang play, and he actually said Barnett held up a little bit on it to minimize the damage. But that stuff's going to happen. I thought it was good that no one went after Barnett. It was a football play, and you could tell he felt bad about it. He was like right next to the guy. It was actually kind of funny. They were telling the guy to stay on the ground, like make sure it was okay. And Barnett's trying to pull him up and make sure he's all right. And they eventually told Barnett to get the heck out of there. But that was a big hit. It's shocking when you're at these practices and they're not going full to hear a crunch like that. You forget. It's almost like sometimes you forget how violent the sport is at training camp when they're not tackling, and hear a play like that. Not even to see it, but to hear it is like, ooh.
Yeah, and the kid isn't braced for it because it's not a live drill. So I think that probably makes it a little worse.
Yeah. I thought it was like the right football play. And if you weren't in a practice setting, no one would have thought twice. But there was some chippiness. That didn't bring it, but there was some chippiness later. It was actually with Jalen Mills, which was funny, or some of it was with Jalen Mills. Uh, Jordan Mailata thought Mills jumped offside, and they teach them like you point at the guy when they jump offside, you draw the penalty. I think Mailata said he tapped him on the helmet, which Mills didn't like, and he shoved him, which I get, but Jordan Mailata is about the last person in the world I'd shove.
Trying to think who I would take in that fight. Jalen Mills versus Jordan Mailata. He's got about 100 pounds on him. Yeah, I think it
More
was
than that.
Yeah, it would be more than I'd be about 130. But I thought that the energy level and the chippiness was a good level. Like there were no fights, but there was definitely chippy play and aggressive play. So they kind of towed that line really well, both teams.
Yeah, I agree.
There was no Carrie Williams, just looking to get ejected before, before the thing even started. Like
That's a fun game, though. I was kind of taking a straw poll on the walk-in with some Eagles reporters. Which Eagle player do you think would be most likely to start a fight?
Well, he didn't practice today, but Craig James would be high on my list.
What's that?
I don't know. He's got a little edge to him.
Okay. Barnett was a popular answer.
Yeah, he's an obvious one.
Normally, it's like a veteran who's fighting for a roster spot.
Veteran backup linemen.
Or linebacker. They don't have any like linebackers like that, but normally a linebacker is a good one. Or like a veteran offensive tackle. Like if Casey Tucker was out there, he's been hurt, he'd be one I'd keep an eye on.
Yeah, Landon Dickerson, if he was, even not practicing, I thought he might get into a couple of fights.
And I always say Kelsey's always a possibility because he has a temper, and if someone gets him, that's all it would take.
That's true. I think his fighting days might be over.
Maybe. Unless I remember a few years ago, he beat the hell out of that trash can.
He did in the bubble.
Yeah,
that was awesome. But I think he's moved on from that. But yeah, it was good. And we got one more day of it tomorrow, so it's gonna be a little warmer. So maybe we'll see some of the chippiness go over the line.
I was saying, what about Darius Slay versus Matt Patricia?
That's a good one. Yeah, he hates him.
He hates him.
He makes that clear.
Yeah. Few housekeeping things. DeVonta Smith getting closer to a return. He was a participant in individual drills today. And this is kind of the way they ramp guys up is the last few days he's been on a side field working out with trainers. And he did that later on in practice today, but he actually took individual drills, which is basically running on air, running through technical stuff. But that's a good sign. I don't think he'll play on Thursday against the Patriots, but I think that on the current track, as long as they want him to, playing against the Jets in the third preseason game is a possibility.
I think it's a possibility. I would bet that he doesn't play in any of the preseason games, but is back at practice, the first practice after the Jets game. That's my prediction. I don't know.
You don't think so? I think there's a chance he might be ready for the joint practices against the Jets.
He might be. He might be. I just my gut feeling is they're going to be ultra careful with him.
I think he could use it though. I know he's mature, and I know he's
totally. But here's the way I look at it: like the Jets game is August 27th, I believe. The opener in Atlanta is September 12th, so they have like over 2 weeks in between. Now it's not training camp; they're not going to be practicing every day, but they'll be practicing a lot, and that'll give them 2 weeks to get ready, get on the same page with Jalen, a guy he's played with before. But ideally, you'd like to see him play against the Jets. I'm not sure it's a lock, but we'll see. A lot is going to have to, I'm sure they're being cautious, but it would definitely be good for him to get out there.
Yeah, a few other injury things. Kayvon Wallace was back on the field. He actually did some team drills today, which I was surprised about. They listed him as week to week, and he made a pretty quick return. You normally when a guy's week to week, it's like minimum 2 weeks he's out, but Kayvon hasn't missed a ton of time, so it's good to see him back out there. John Hightower also limited. He was a week to week guy too, and he's already back. Both of those players have groin injuries, and both could use this time. I mean, they're young players who are fighting for roles. Kayvon, especially. I mean, he was working with the first team, so to get him, and I think Marcus Epps has played well in his absence, and so has Andrew Adams. So Kayvon's probably watching like, I need to get back out here.
Epps made a few plays today. He made a few plays. He's not bad.
He's not bad. He was in a tough position, I think, a lot of the things Jim Schwartz asked him to do. And then it's funny with a young player like that, you just get a bad taste in your mouth because you've seen them fail, but he hasn't played much football. He was a late round pick in Minnesota. Was it a 6th round pick?
Yeah.
Didn't play much there. Comes here and he's forced into a tough role in a defense that could be brutal on defensive backs. So I think there's something there. And I think he's on the team. I don't think he's in. I think his roster spot. I don't think he's a lock, but I'm pretty confident he'll be on the team.
I'm not confident in Hightower. I mean, he's got to get back. I mean, it's probably good for him that he's back because he's fighting for a job. I think he's fighting for a spot on the roster, and I'm not sure. I think he's looking on the outside looking in right now. So we'll see how that goes for him.
Yeah, Isaac Seumalo is limited. He has a hamstring, obviously, but he's been getting first team reps, and they've been kind of him and Brooks have been taking first team reps, but then they've been coming out like halfway through. So those guys, they know what they're getting out of them. So it's just about making sure they're healthy. And the Reuben Clark, I haven't seen him do team drills yet, but that was kind of a big surprise the other day. I don't think we've talked about it yet, them activating him off the PUP list, because he was a guy we all kind of earmarked for the reserve PUP, missing 6 weeks. And it made our 53-man roster projections a lot easier. You could just stash him there. But now the PUP is out the window. Once you come off PUP, you can't go back on it. So either he has to be on the roster or they have to cut him. There's no other choice. Or I get they can IR him, but
you can IR him. But I mean, if he's healthy enough, yeah. I think he would have to aggravate the injury to be able to IR him because you're saying he's healthy now. So
he'd have to. I mean, you can, and that's an important distinction. If you IR someone before final roster cuts, they're on IR for the year. Whereas, the 3-week IR only starts once the season. That prevents teams from stashing guys.
Right. You got to be on the initial 53. A couple of other, that is surprising because that was a torn Achilles in, I believe, December.
Yeah, and we hadn't really seen him do much until a couple weeks ago. And then he started to work out on a side field, and all of a sudden he's back at practice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he ramps up. I thought Quez had another good day too. He's really just builds on good days and has better days. He had a mid-range ball today. That's if he can do that, if he can, expand his palette to that kind of play. I mean, the sky's the limit for him. And he was impressive. We'll talk about the receivers in a minute, but and I wanted to mention Miles had another drop. It's a concern. I don't. It's going to put them in a tough position. And Nick talked about this yesterday. They're going to throw to the backs. It's no secret. And if he can't catch the football, it's gonna curtail his playing time. It will, because you just can't. It's been a problem since last year started. It's been over a year, so it's been a year. So he's got to figure that out. I mean, he does the work. We see him on the jugs machine. He does extra work. He's always throwing the ball, but he just keeps dropping it. He just might not be good.
Was a little different. This was like Sirianni talked about the slants have been a problem for him. This one was a ball in the flat, and I think he just started running before he had it. Yeah. I think he was looking downfield, and that's tough. That's a tough thing to learn as a running back because he has the ability to break some big plays, but you got to secure the catch first. And working on the jugs machine doesn't help with that.
Right. And it's going to be a situation where you can't put yourself in a situation where Miles is only out there on a running play. You can't do that. So, there's going to be other backs that are going to be taking those reps from him if he doesn't get it figured out.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I think ultimately they're going to have to live with the drops. You're not going to not play him. He's your best running back.
you're not going to not play him, but I think situationally there'll be times that if it doesn't get better, that we see other people in there. But he'll still get the
Maybe.
bulk of the playing time, the bulk of the carries. It just might not be as much as it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, but you still got to throw the ball to him because that's a big part of this offense, and you can't limit yourself. So
Absolutely.
he's got to fix it. They can't just cater to him dropping balls.
Score big with the AAA Eagles MVP membership, along with the superb roadside assistance and discounts you've come to expect from AAA. Get exclusive Eagles-related perks. For all the details, visit AAA.com/Eagles.
Let's talk about receivers a little bit because DeVonta's getting close. And I'm watching it today. Like, how are they going to line up when DeVonta Smith gets back? Because today they had, for the most part, that they've mixed and matched a little bit, but it was Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, and Travis Fulgham out there. Greg Ward running with the twos, which even if he's not going to be a second teamer, there's no, what Greg Ward can do at this point, which is funny to say because he's in the practice squad 2 years ago, but you kind of know what you're getting from him. So I like the idea that they're seeing their other options. A lot of Quez in the slot today and the last few weeks.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're going to see. I mean, we'll see what happens with Fulgham. Like I said, he had a better day. I think DeVonta, Reagor, and Quez are going to be the core three guys, and I think you're going to see different combinations of Reagor and Quez inside. We know that Nick likes to mix and match and be unpredictable and get guys comfortable in different positions. If Fulgham can play the way I think he's had a couple good days in a row after really shaky start to camp. I think if he can just be, half the player he was against the Steelers, I mean, then you have a nucleus of young receivers there. Consistency is the issue with Reagor and with Fulgham. I think Rager's taken some steps. We don't really know what DeVonta, how much he'll be able to. I mean, I think he's going to be a stud. How long will it take to get there? We just haven't seen much of him. But I think Ward, and I think you said this the other day, Ward's not going to catch 50 balls like he did last year, or whatever, 60. I think he will play. I think he'll have a role, and I think he'll help this team. And I think there's situations where you want him in the slot. But when you have explosive guys like Quez and Reagor, who you can put in the slot with DeVonta and Fulgham, or DeVonta and Reagor, or DeVonta and Quez outside, that's an explosive lineup right there. And just not sure Greg Ward, other than situationally, is going to really fit in there that much.
Yeah, I still want to see more of Reagor in the slot than we've seen. A lot of these, and I get why they're putting Watkins out there now, but I think it would make sense to see more Reagor there. I really do. And that's not a knock on his play outside, but I like the idea in my head of having the straight line speed of Watkins outside and the explosiveness with Reagor underneath. And then on the other side, you have DeVonta. All of a sudden, that's not bad.
It's not bad, and it's intriguing because all those guys have so much upside, and we just don't know. We don't know what they are. We don't know who they are. We don't know what their ceiling is. And they're gonna take their lumps because there's just not a lot of experience in that room. but Dave doesn't even crack a smile. But yeah, it's an intriguing group. I mean, I don't know the last time. You're talking about four guys and even Ward is 25, but Fulgham, Quez, DeVonta, and Reagor are all, 22, 23, 24. To have a nucleus like that, it's been a long time. I don't know if this team's ever had that. I mean, Barnett and Calvin came in together as kids in 1990 and, with Mike Bellamy, who didn't make the team or didn't catch any balls. He made the team his rookie year. But anyway, that's the only thing I can think of, the only comparable.
They had Deshaun and Macklin.
Deshaun and Macklin, but I'm talking about volume of like three or four guys. Because Avant was there for that, but potentially, I don't know the last time we sat here and said the Eagles have like a top 10 receiving room. I mean, I don't know if they ever have. I don't know if they
Well, they
literally.
don't now.
No, they don't. I could see in 2 years if this
Yeah,
thing goes
maybe.
the way I could see this developing into that. Now, I don't know if it will, but it's possible, and that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll see how it all plays out. And they have some decisions after that. It's funny to think that Travis Fulgham could just be a backup. I mean, if Quez is just better, then I'm for that. You don't shoehorn a guy in, but I think they will rotate from time to time as well.
Yeah, I do as well, and they're going to go four wides sometimes. So that'll be an interesting look. I mean, I guess my point is, all these guys are guys who are going to keep getting better. You would think they should, and that makes it intriguing. I think they'll all be better in November than they are now, and they'll all be better next year than they will be in November, and it's exciting to watch.
It is. All right, let's go through 7 players who have a better shot to make the team than you might think. These are my guys, so I'll kind of go through them. You let me know if you think I'm right or crazy. The first one is Jannard Avery, who's been banged up recently, but got a ton of first-team reps before that injury.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be giving him every opportunity when he was healthy, at least, to show what he could do. I still think he's on the outside looking in.
The funny thing is, though, one of those guys takes first-team reps every day, whether it's Avery, Patrick Johnson, or Joe Osman. Right now, Johnson is the only one who's healthy of that group. That's a position in this defense, and it was kind of one of the big mysteries of camp coming in, but that position isn't going anywhere. That's kind of been one of my big takeaways from watching Gannon work over these last few weeks is that whatever you want to call it, they're calling it the Sam, but it's almost like a hybrid edge rusher, off-ball linebacker. They need a better name for it than just calling it the Sam because it's not really indicative of the position. But you get the idea. That's a spot on this team, and Avery's probably in the lead for it.
Yeah, I mean, just because he's got experience, but my hunch is I still think he won't be here, but certainly Howie wants him here to make that trade look palatable.
Yeah. The next one is Elijah Riley, who you teased earlier. Undrafted out of Army, he's probably one of the least known guys on this list and probably on the roster, honestly. But watching how many core special teams units he's on, and he's a good special teamer. I mean, he can be your gunner. There might be a spot for him, especially if they look at Andrew Adams like, we can bring him back if we need him.
And he made a play today on defense. And as soon as he did, I said, whoever was next to me, I said, Dave's guy.
Is he my guy now?
He had a nice tackle. Yeah,
he's not really my guy. I've just noticed how much they're playing him, and I think that
he's your guy.
And he had an interception in the game too, so we can play a little defense.
Yeah. What else you got? I think you're right. I think he'll be on the team.
Yeah, J-Jaw is a guy who I don't think they're done with yet, and I think maybe they should be, honestly, because I don't think he offers much on special teams. I don't think just having him as a big-bodied slot receiver is enough, but if Howie has his way, he's still on the team.
Second-round pick 3 years ago, and I guess what he has going for him is that he's a different kind of player than the other receivers, and the big, tall wingspan, guy. I do think he has a chance. If I had to put together a 53 right now, he wouldn't be on it. But it's tough cutting second-round picks.
Yeah, and the question is, if you're not keeping him on it, are you having just 5 receivers? If there's 6, then who's the 6? Is it not him? Is it Andre Patton? Is it John Hightower? Like, who's the 6th? Is it a guy on another team?
Possibly, although that would probably come the next day.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm just thinking like when you go in the week 1. But yeah, who knows?
I mean, Hightower, I don't Hightower's been hurt. Like, I just don't. He had a couple okay days before he got hurt. I mean, honestly, out of that group, Patton's done the most.
Mm-hmm.
But
is it going on merit or is it going on, hey, this second-round pick's having an all right camp?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I think Howie would love to keep him.
And you wonder if Nick doesn't want Patton, a guy who he's coached before, he can trust probably a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll see who's running the team.
I think we know the answer to that. Jason Huntley, who is injured right now, but we've kind of both raved about him. Yeah, rib injury. He makes a big play every day he's out there. He might force their hand. He might force them to keep 5 running backs.
Yeah, and the injury is a little bit of a setback. I think he's probably a long shot at this point. I think the injury doesn't help. But he had an impressive first week or 9 days. Got to get healthy to have a shot.
Yeah. Next one is T.Y. McGill, the veteran defensive tackle. He's just been good. If this is a meritocracy, he gets a spot.
Also, if it's based on who earns it as well, then he has a spot. Yeah, he's
sorry. Did I go too highbrow there?
It was a little much for me, but yeah, he's been good. You were on him early, and he's had a good camp, and he got the sack in the game.
Milton helped, but yeah,
Milton Williams helped, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's just another body who can get to the quarterback. Intriguing guy. He knows how to play the game.
Yeah, he does. But he also might be a guy where they look at him and think, well, he'll probably still be around. I don't know. I mean, you have to be willing to lose him.
He's one of those guys who, like, in 4 years, we'll be watching, like, the Jaguars Browns on Sunday night, and I'll message you in Slack and say, hey, did you see T.Y. McGill just made a tackle?
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
He'll be somewhere.
Yeah. The next one is, if you've been paying attention, you know his name, but Tyree Jackson. He didn't have a great day today, actually. He dropped a couple balls, but overall, he's really trending in the right direction. And we've talked about him a bunch, so I don't think we need to hammer it home, but he's good, and he probably deserves to make this team.
You're right. He did have a tough day today. I was gonna mention that, and he's got, again. I think that it's going to come down to what happens with Ertz. They're not going to keep 4 tight ends.
I don't know.
I don't see him cutting Richard Rodgers, but if they think somebody's going to claim the kid, and it's hard to claim a player, on final cuts. You got to cut somebody that you really like, that you invested the last 6 months into, or 4 months. So I tend to think he'll be here, but I don't think it's a lock.
Okay. The last one is guard tackle, Coyote Awasika, who we've talked about. I thought it was really funny. He only played 7 snaps in the first preseason game, and I bet you Howie would appreciate if I stopped talking about him right now.
Yeah, you're right. They're trying to hide the kid. I think he's going to make the team. I do.
The trouble is how do you figure how many linemen are they going to keep? Because now Clark takes a roster spot.
It's true.
And they like Sua a lot. Luke Jariga, they obviously like. You're maxed without those guys. And now you're going to throw – I don't think Coyote's going to be on the team.
No, I mean, if everyone stays healthy, I mean, it's hard to imagine them cutting ties with Sua or Jariga. And they're not. You're not going to keep 11.
And the tough one is Dillard, because he hasn't earned a spot.
Right.
But they're not going to cut him.
They're not going to cut him. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I mean, I guess he's just going to be your backup left tackle, but you have Reuben. Coyote can play tackle too.
And they've been playing him there a little bit. They played him there in the game.
Yeah. So he's got that versatility that they really like, and that helps you save roster spots. I just, what? My gut feeling is Dillard won't be here. I don't think they're going to cut him. Maybe you trade him for something. I don't know. I feel like he won't be here.
I mean, I don't know how much trade value he has.
I don't either. But if you keep the top 53, he's not one of them.
I agree with that. I also I think they view him as an asset because he was a high draft pick.
There's no question.
I wouldn't cut him. I don't think he deserves a spot, but I wouldn't cut him.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this. I mean, you would take a 4 for him, which is embarrassing to turn a 1 into a 4 3 years later. I don't think they'll get offered a 4. I just don't think he'll be here. I can't tell you what's going to happen to him,
Yeah.
but I just
Well, there aren't many options. It's
no.
not like they got a ton of things that could
Just
happen.
keep him,
They
trade
can
him, and
trade
cut
him. They
him,
can, yeah,
or IR him. Which
stash him for another year.
yeah, just keep stashing him until he's 30, and everyone forgets he was a 1.
Yeah, and he's like a little line at the bottom of a story. They cut this guy. Oh yeah, I remember him.
Out of those 7 guys, who do you think is most likely to be on the 53?
Oh, most likely, Gerard Avery.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Tyree.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're not going to have a choice but to keep him. It's been a year full of uncertainty, but one thing is certain: Independence Blue Cross can help you make the healthcare decisions that are right for you. Choose coverage you can count on with the region's strongest network, Independence Blue Cross, and learn more at ibx.com.
All right, let's go through the whole rookie class, the draft picks, and we'll keep this short. I know we're running a little late here. People are like, how long is this? We got to listen to this. Let's just go through them, and you give a thought.
This
I'll give a
podcast
thought.
will actually be longer than the Eagles practice Saturday.
It might be. It might be. We'll go through them one by one. You give me a thought. I'll give a thought. We'll move on to the next guy. First round pick, DeVonta Smith.
Yeah, just can't wait to see him. I think he's going to be a stud. I'm just, just really eager to see him out there. And we got to see him for 3 days, and he was kind of, he was just kind of finding his way. Had some good moments. Just want to see him out there.
Yeah, it was up and down first 3.5 days for him, though. He's so mature, and we think of him as being this great college player. He had a few drops early. He's feeling his way through. So as much as everyone thinks he doesn't need this time, I think he is missing something. I think they would like to get. It doesn't mean that he's going to have a bad rookie year, but I think this time is valuable. So it's a good sign that he's getting closer to a return.
No doubt.
All right, second round.
He'll make Jalen Reagor better too, but that's another story.
Yeah, Landon Dickerson.
Well, he walked by us today after practice. He's a big dude. He's still a ways away. I just don't know what to think of him. I think he will kind of define this draft class. I think, you take him 37th overall. You need him to be a multi-year starter, almost Pro Bowl or Pro Bowl level. Not a guy who gets hurt all the time. So that story is going to be told over the next few years.
Yeah, and him being the 37th pick, there's a big difference between the early part of the second round to the late part of the second round. You're going to guy at 37. I mean, that's where you get guys who people thought were first round picks.
Yeah.
And it was a big risk. We haven't really talked about it much, obviously, he hasn't been practicing, but yeah, I don't think he's close right now. So
doesn't look close. No.
All right. Milton Williams, the third round pick.
Yeah, we talked about him the other day. I'm really high on him. He looks great. And can't wait to see how Gannon uses him and where he lines up and how much playing time he gets. But he'll be in that rotation somewhere.
Yeah, he's going to play a lot. I really think he's going to play a lot. And it was fun watching him today against Trent Brown, who might be the biggest human I've ever seen in person.
Dude,
it's either
huge.
They list him 6'8", 380. I mean, I might try to ask Mailata to go stand next to him just so I can see it. Just so I can see who looks bigger.
Yeah, they're two large human beings. But Milton, I'm high on him. Can't wait to see.
Who's the biggest player you've ever covered?
The biggest player I ever covered. I mean, I think of Reggie White as being like 7'5", 500, just because he was so dominant.
He gets bigger with each passing year.
Yeah, it's just so legendary. But I mean, I covered the Fridge. he was a big guy. He was pretty big. But I mean, Jordan Mailata is right up there. I mean, he is.
The Fridge wasn't 6'8".
No, he was not.
Yeah,
he was 6'80".
My favorite photos are the ones with Yao Ming next to other big people and he makes them look small. You ever see that photo? I think it's him and JJ Watt, and he makes JJ Watt look like a toddler. That's my favorite photo.
When Manu Bol was playing for the Sixers, our Sixers writer back at the Burlington County Times would come back and say, you see him standing next to, I think what did they list him at? Like 7'7". He said he would stand next to a guy who's 7'5", and he's like a foot taller. He said he's actually he's 8.5 feet tall, but they just won't say it because everyone will think they're nuts. But anyway,
4th round pick, Zach McPherson.
I like what I see. A little tough day today. I think he will have. I mean, he went in there also when Slay came out, when he got banged up. I think he's had a good camp. Today was tough. He's going against, a veteran, experienced quarterback who's been an MVP, at least at the end of the practice. But I like him. I think he's active. He's around the ball. He's smart. I think he's going to have a nice career.
Yeah, I do too. And he's come back to earth a little bit from it. He got off to this blistering start, and what's going to happen. Like, he's not just going to start off like that and keep it going all through camp. So now I'm curious to see what happens, because today was a rough day for him. I'm going to see what he does tomorrow. Yeah. And that to me, that's a big test, especially at that position. How does he respond after everything isn't going his way? So I'm curious to see him over the next few weeks.
And that's a big theme with Nick Sirianni, is responding to adversity. After practice on Saturday, I think you were over there when it was so quiet we could actually hear his talk to the team, because he wasn't too far from us. And you kept hearing that phrase come out. You couldn't hear what he was saying, but you kept hearing adversity, responding to adversity. It's just it's a big theme with him. So we'll see how Zach does with that.
5th round pick, Kenny Gainwell.
I like him. He's been for a 5. And I think he's potentially a steal. He's catching the ball well. He looks good when he gets to run. Looks comfortable, knows the offense. I like him.
Yeah, I thought he started off slow in camp, and I think since then he's picked it up a little bit. He's fun to watch as a runner too. We hear so much about him in the pass game, and that's where he's going to be making an impact as a rookie. But as a runner, he's fun because he'll get lost behind the guards, and all of a sudden you'll see him squirt out and he'll do a spin move, and the defense is like, oh, where'd he come from? He has some of that to him, where it's a little Sproles-esque, where Sproles will just learn how to lose a defender behind a blocker. He has some of that in him. Yeah,
they call him 5'11". He ain't no 5'11". He's about 5'9", I think.
They don't listen to 5'11", do they?
They do. Well, coming out, he was. I don't know what the Eagles list him at, but coming out, he was 5'11", but he's about 5'9". But I like him. He's gonna carve out a role here.
Yeah. First of the 6th round picks, Marlon Tuipulotu.
Haven't really seen much from him yet. He gets pushed around, I think. I think maybe you take the year, put him on the practice squad, and try to get him stronger.
Yeah, he's not ready. He got pushed around in that game. I thought it was a poor showing, and I'll be honest, I'm disappointed about him because he has a lot of experience. Played at USC. I thought he'd be more pro ready than Milton. I thought Milton had the raw athleticism. I've been impressed by Milton picking up the game at the NFL level as quickly as he has, but Marlon's been a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, for a 6, you knew that it was going to be a project.
He looks out of place. And he was a guy who was a 6, but, opinions were split on him. Some people thought he was like a 4th round pick.
Not me. But, yeah, he's been disappointing.
Yeah, Teron Jackson.
Yeah, I think he kind of falls into that same category. I mean, I think he needs technique work. He needs strength. He's obviously not ready to contribute.
Yeah, but I have seen more flashes from him than I have Marlon.
Well, it could be just the nature of the position. I mean,
I guess, but he's made good plays. I mean, he has good bend around the edge. He has a good spin move that I've already seen. So I've been more, maybe you're right. Maybe it's partly the position, but even when they were out there together late in that preseason game, I thought the interior was and look, it was hot and they were kind of out of players, but it was Tuipulotu and Raekwon Williams inside. I thought they were getting destroyed. And the only one I thought was giving them anything was Jackson.
Yeah, he had a couple decent rushes at the end of that game or in that game. He played a lot, I think. It was his pitch count was, but I don't. I mean, he's not going to be on the 53. I would certainly keep him around.
I don't know.
I
Might
don't
be.
think he will. Okay, you
Well,
put him
it's
on.
tough though, because like you're gonna cut all these late round picks.
I mean, I don't know about all of them. I mean, I don't know where you're going to fit. Maybe. I mean, maybe the next guy, Jacoby Stevens, that we're about to get to. If he's healthy, I could see him being on the team. If he's can play special teams.
Yeah, well, let's talk about him because he's hurt right now. It was kind of strange. He had a big pick, and then the next day he was out and he hasn't practiced since. This is tough for him. I'm starting to wonder if he won't be a stash.
He's on the week to week list, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he is. Yeah. Um, I could see him being on IR.
And I thought he was a guy who would have a role. I thought they drafted him with something specific in mind, and he looked good out there. He was getting first team reps at times, and now he's kind of far behind.
Yeah, and he's not close to coming back either.
Yeah. How about Patrick Johnson, the last pick, number 234? He's actually made some plays.
Yeah, he has. Tulane kid, I believe.
Yeah.
Again, he's shows some promise, and I think that probably goes for both Teron Jackson and Patrick Johnson. You want consistency. I'm just not sure how ready they are to be NFL players, but they're guys who, I would certainly try to keep around, on the practice squad and try to develop them.
Yeah. Most recently, Johnson's been getting some first team reps because Avery's out and Joe Osman's out too. He has a concussion, by the way.
Yeah.
So Johnson's been getting more reps and he's looked all right. I thought he made some plays in the game too.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't think he fits on the 53, but other than Tui Pelotu, I don't know if any of these guys look like, really overmatched. I mean, I think we've seen some good things from all of them. It's probably not true for Marlon, but the other guys, at times, each one of them has shown something, it's a good sign. I mean, they haven't really had a draft like that. But again, time will tell. The jury's still out on all these guys.
Yeah. All right, let's finish it off with our old buddy Jason Peters. 39 years old, just signed a 1-year deal with Chicago. I was kind of surprised to see him find the job, honestly.
I was too. They've got a bunch of injuries at tackle, and I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I just don't have any faith. I have a friend who lives in Chicago who's a huge Bears fan, and he texted me and said, "Jason Peters have anything left?" I said, "Well, if he can stay healthy, he can be average, but I just don't think he can stay healthy."
Yeah.
I don't think even a healthy JP, I'm not sure, is better than average right now. And I'm really skeptical of his ability to stay on the field.
Yeah, it's a shame because mentally he's still really sharp. It's just his body has kind of let him down the last few years. It's funny. We hear this news, and it's big news. He was the longest tenured Eagle. He was, he's a legend here. And the way it ended in Philly, it stinks.
Yeah.
It stinks. And I get why he became an easy target for jokes and everything. We're talking about one of the greats. He played left tackle at a higher level than just about anyone else I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's kind of tarnished his legacy a little bit, and I think time will heal that. Eventually he'll go into the Eagles Hall of Fame. He has a fair chance of going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't think he's a lock because he was only all pro, once or twice? Twice. That's going to hurt him. But I think he's got a chance. But it's a shame that people, there's a kind of a whole group of Eagles fans that only remember, the guy who's getting hurt and, demanding more money to play a new position and all that stuff.
And as much as like that particular thing, and that came up a lot the other day when we heard the news. Yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way too, but I don't think it should tarnish his legacy that much. Like,
I agree.
We're talking about a guy who's probably I think is going to go in the Hall of Fame, and he's going to be most closely associated with the Eagles.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Another guy from that team, Michael Kendricks, just signed with the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
5 former Eagles. I don't know if I can name them all. Jordan Matthews, Josh Perkins, River Craycraft, um, Michael Kendricks, Jordan Matthews, and somebody else.
Just gonna let the people hang here.
And I can't remember. Josh Perkins, Jordan Matthews, River Craycraft, who never played for the Eagles. He was on practice squad or training camp or something. Kendricks and D'Amico Ryans is coaching there. So is Daryl Tapp.
Is Tap there?
Yeah, Daryl Tapp's there. Good dude.
That's good. Yeah, I like Daryl Tap. You know that when they signed Josh Perkins, they had to release Josh Peterson?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And they're next to each other in alphabetical order of every player that ever played.
All right. Once we start going into the alphabet, I think it's time to wrap up. So
we're now 30 seconds longer than Saturday's practice. We did it.
Yeah. If you enjoy the podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. Leave us a comment too. We appreciate that. If you could let me get through this one time, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe there as well. Now you may speak. Yes, you in front.
It was cool seeing Nick and Bill Belichick interacting. I thought, here's a guy who's been a coach for a few months and a guy who's been to 9 Super Bowls. And, they're both ball coaches and they speak the same language. And, Belichick's such an interesting guy and he's just totally open to, the guy's a legend and won 6 Super Bowls, but, hey, we'll go practice with Nick Sirianni. He's got no qualms about it. And, and it was good practice, and I'm sure he feels like they got a lot out of it. So it was just cool to see Nick and Bill Belichick out there. It's just kind of the contrast is striking.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And we'll talk more about both of those guys on tomorrow's pod. For Reuben, I'm Dave. We'll speak soon.